we're all set here. Oh my gosh, I don't think that's very straight. Okay. Maybe? All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 125 of the Driftless Knitting podcast. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter. I guess you can also find me on Threads. I do have a Threads account now under Driftless Knitter, so I don't post very much there. I've posted like maybe once every other week or maybe once a week, but I don't even think so. Yeah, so you can find me there as well. And you can find my patterns on Ravelry as well as driftlessknitting.com and Payhip. I am coming to you from the Madison, Wisconsin area on Friday, August 18th at almost 8 o'clock in the morning. It's about 10 to 8. And I'm again taking advantage of a little bit of extra time that I have to film a podcast quickly. I cannot believe I managed to film a podcast 2 weeks ago. That was mostly because my husband tested positive for COVID and we were kind of isolating. I never tested positive. My 3-year-old son, almost 3-year-old son, never tested positive, which is amazing. We were, as best we could, we kept, Seaver, my husband, stayed in our like master bedroom, the bedroom bathroom area, and then came out just to get some food. He did eventually, after a few days, go outside and do some work outside. But again, we were kind of being very careful. We didn't really go around him much. I slept out in the living room on the pullout couch for about 11 days, until he tested negative. And it was, they suggest like the 10-day rule if you test positive past 5 days. Oh no, my light. I thought this was going to happen. I have not charged my ring light in a very long time, and the lighting in here is absolutely horrendous. So I'm going to go see if I can plug that in somehow or figure out something, and I will be right back. Okay, I think that's going to work. I have both my phone and now my ring light charging. Thankfully there's an outlet like right here, so they're able to charge while I'm recording, which is fabulous. But yeah, I just knew the lighting in here would not serve us well if I didn't plug that in. Yeah, so anyway, I was talking about last time I recorded, we were having, kind of a little bit of an interesting situation. And that was why I was home during the day and I had a couple hours in the afternoon to quickly film a podcast. Today, exactly 2 weeks later, which this probably hasn't happened in years, where I have done a podcast like exactly 2 weeks. Like I used to be on such a great schedule before having a child and, doing every 2 weeks or every at least 3 weeks. I used to do this every week. Can you believe that? Crazy. But anyway, I am very happy to be back talking to you. I wanted to quickly fit in another episode because many of you know that we are expecting our second baby very, very shortly. And by very, very shortly, I mean my due date is in 4 days, right? Including today. We are due on the 22nd of August with our second little boy. So we are eagerly anticipating his arrival. We thought a couple days ago that maybe he was on his way. That turned out to be kind of false alarm, and we are still patiently waiting, but it's okay. I'm all right waiting for another few days. I don't want to go obviously too long, but Hudson, our older son, came about 2 days before my due date. Like my water broke and all that stuff. And I don't have a, like, I didn't have a feeling then. You know how sometimes people say, like, you know, they had a feeling that it was soon and they predicted, blah, blah, blah. I have no feeling. I have no idea when this baby is coming. Last time it was a surprise. This time it'll probably be a surprise. I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's very exciting. So I wanted to quickly film something. I am going into work today. I have been for the last week, and we are actually, today's my last day because of the weekend, and then it's the 21st is Monday, and it's almost my due date. So it was just sort of, let's wrap it up on Friday, and then, you know, I can start my maternity leave. So whether or not the baby comes this weekend or Monday or whatever, I'm starting my maternity leave on Monday, and then we shall see what happens. But we are going out to lunch today, which is very exciting, and just spending a little bit of time kind of, you know, just being together. There's only 4 of us that work for Knit Circus Yarns. That's where I work in Madison, and we are all friends. We all get along really well, and we like spending time together. So it will be fun to go out to lunch, spend a little bit of time, and yeah, and then call it. I don't know how long I'll be there today because I have wrapped up so many things. There's always more work to do though, especially when you're like a production company. You know, it's not just that I'm, you know, emailing customers and shipping things out, which is what I do, but I also like help with the production of the actual product. So there's always more of that to do. So I could just stay for, you know, however long and just keep doing that. We'll see how I feel. I have been getting more tired lately, obviously. And after we're done with lunch, I'll probably just come back, wrap up a couple things. How many times can I say wrap up? Finish a couple things, and then head out. So today is a little more casual, a little more lenient. And I thought this morning I would just film a bit before I head in. So here we are. Here we are. I have my yarn background again. I am no longer sequestered in the main part of the house. I can be back in my bedroom, and oh, all this gorgeous yarn is just making me want to knit everything. I think it must be a nesting thing. I don't really remember this with my first pregnancy though. I knit things during that time, like later on in my pregnancy, and I knit things for my son, but this time around, my knitting mojo and my just need to be creating and making things is like off the charts. I want to be knitting something for the baby constantly. I have several things done. I took out my Oma, my grandmother was here last weekend, and she's a knitter. She's the one who taught me how to knit. And she was just, you know, we were talking about hand knits and all this stuff. So I pulled out all the things I had ready for the baby. And some of them, a couple of them are from, you know, Hudson. I talked about that last time, which is so nice to be able to reuse these hand knits again, because I just absolutely adored putting Hudson in the hand knits I made for him, in things that other people made for him. But I have knit like a pile of things for him, and I didn't really realize that until going through all of them. And then I have a couple more things to show you. So I don't know what it is. I don't think I made this much for Hudson. I don't know. I'm just like, I want to knit everything. And I've been dying to knit on my cozy memory blanket. I really want to start more scrappy projects. Yeah, I think it's the nesting, but I want to make everything. So let me start out by showing you a couple of the finished objects I do have. My first finished object is going to be a little tricky to show you because it's kind of, it's large-ish, and I have all of this behind me that I'm not like, I don't want to disrupt anything. But this is the 4 Points baby blanket that I was working on last time. Yeah, this is kind of terrible to show you. Let me back this up a bit. Ooh, see, I can only go so far because of my charging cords too. Okay, that's good. A little better. So this is the 4 Points baby blanket. I knit, this is by Pearl Soho. I knit this in Ringmaster worsted weight, which is a Knit Circus brand yarn. This is our only worsted weight base. It is a 100% superwash merino wool. It is soft and squishy and so cozy. And because this is in garter stitch, it is just the squishiest, most lovely fabric. I'm just over the moon with it. So this is the baby blanket for our new baby. And I love how different it is. The construction of it was really fun. It's a lot of garter stitch, but it did go fairly quickly. It felt like it went quickly. By the end of each like triangle, you are kind of like, well, I would say by the middle. So the beginning part, you're knitting, you're knitting, you're knitting. And then by the middle of it, you're like, am I even getting anywhere? Because you decrease, you cast on all the stitches, and then you decrease to the point. And then you reach a point where it does like change to, oh wow, I don't have that many stitches on my needle anymore because I've been decreasing. So it kind of like, it does go quickly, but at the same time, it's a lot of knitting. So I chose 4 colors that I thought went really well with our nursery theme, which is like forest. And I think it turned out really, really great. I'm very happy with it. I'm super happy with it, and I'm so glad I got it done. So I started out with this one. This speckle colorway here is called the Dark Hedges. Really pretty. And then I went on to Sage Advice, which is this beautiful light green, one of my favorite colorways that we dye. And then I kind of went a little out of the theme, well, not out of the theme, but out of the greens. And I put in Winging It Speckle, which is an owl themed colorway. This was based on the colors of barn owls. And I wanted like a neutral, but I didn't just want, I had picked out just like a tan, like a really light tan to put in there, but I wanted a second speckle colorway, and I also wanted like a neutral, and I thought this one pulled in some of the orange, like the orangey browns in Dark Hedges. And then this last one is Stay Out of the Forest. Yeah, I absolutely love it. This is going in my hospital bag. All right, the second finished object that I have is this cute little thing, and this is brand new since I talked to you last. This is the Peachy Keen baby hat. And I cast this on, I think I talked about, maybe, did I talk about casting on a bunch of stuff? I don't think I did. I think I did that later on that next week. I talked about casting on one project that I wanted to maybe bring to the hospital, which I will show you in a second. But then I decided I needed to have a couple more things going or on the needles so that when I got home, I didn't have to think of, like with the baby, I didn't have to think about picking out needles and yarn and casting something on. I know I won't have too much knitting time, but just thinking back to with when Hudson came home from the hospital, there was a few times where I could pick up a project and knit for, you know, a little bit of time, either in the car on our way to appointments or I need to fit in those moments, and I did with Hudson, and I'm thinking I might need to do that a little bit more this time around. I should have done it more with Hudson, but as a new mom, and I was just worried about, I don't know, worried about being distracted by too much, or I put a lot of pressure, we all do, right? New moms, not old moms, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm an old mom now. Experienced moms, we all put pressure on ourselves, and I think I just felt like I needed to be constantly paying attention and being there and being like 100% focused. And this time around, I'm hoping to give myself a little bit more leniency and realize that yes, I can have him near me and also be, you know, watching a baseball game on TV or knitting on something, and I'm not like ignoring my baby, or I don't know. I felt very much like I just had to be mom constantly with Hudson, and it took a toll a little bit because I did not feel like myself for a very long time. And I want to make sure to incorporate the things that make me happy and make me feel like me, and kind of, yeah, just know that I'm not a terrible mom for turning on the TV and needing to watch something once in a while. I know that sounds so silly, but in the moment you're just like, everything just seems so heavy and important, and yeah. Anyway, so I decided to cast on several projects so that I had things ready when I got home. Easy, mindless sort of things. This one I was hoping to have done by the time he was born, but I didn't know. Obviously, we didn't know when he was coming. So I'm very, very happy that I did get it done, because this is also going to go in the hospital bag. And this will be the hat he comes home in. Like I said, this is the Peachy Keen baby hat. I knit the smaller version. I believe you cast on like 80 stitches. There were a few comments on Ravelry that it was very, very small and it didn't fit. But at first I cast on the larger one, which is like 90 stitches. And I knit the brim. And then I'm like, this just seems a little bit too big. So what I did was I went back in my hand knit stash from when Hudson was born, and I looked at a baby hat I had knit him that was supposed to be a newborn hat, and it was massive on him when he was born. I think he wore it maybe once or twice, and that was it. And I was hoping that that would be the one that he like came home from the hospital in, but it was way, way, way too big. And sure enough, this hat was going to be a very similar size. So then I looked at the hat that the hospital gave us, because they always do like they have donations sent in from knitters and crocheters of like hand knit hats. And they give them to every baby that's born in the hospital, which is super cool. And so he got a hand knit hat from somebody. And that is the one that he came home from the hospital in. And I just wanted to check the sizing of that one. And sure enough, it was like, I don't even know, like an inch, maybe not quite an inch smaller, like the brim length. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we gotta do the smaller version. And it looks super small, but it is stretchy. And I actually think it's gonna be perfect. So yeah, I'm really excited to have this done. This was done with the leftovers from the So Faded pint size that I knit with the Legacy Fiber Arts kind of, not like a mystery pack, but they were doing, and I know I explained all this in the last episode, so apologies if it's only been 2 weeks and you're like, I know this. But for anyone who didn't watch that episode, Legacy Fiber Arts was doing a moving sale, and they were putting together kind of some random packages of 50-gram fingering weight yarns. And so I ordered one. I kind of requested maybe if they could put in a blue or a green, and they were fabulous. They gave me some beautiful, beautiful blues and greens, and I was able to fade them into the pint size. If you're interested in that, I do have photos of it on my Instagram, and then I did show it in the last podcast episode. So, sorry, I'm out of breath. Being this pregnant, it's like getting a full breath is not easy. But I decided to take the blue of the dark blue and then that very, very light green, because I just love that contrast. And the Peachy Keen baby hat does not have stripes. But I just did 2 rows of the green and then 5 rows of the blue. And the pattern does have directions for a hat knit flat and seamed, and then the one in the round. And then they originally have it so that it's a folded brim, but I just decided to do a, just a single brim. Single brim? You know what I mean. So yes, very happy with that. Super excited to have another little baby project off the needles. Okay, so that's all the finished objects, but I do have three works in progress to show you. The first one I will get out because I did talk about this in the last episode, and I got quite a bit of work done on it. But I honestly, now I can't remember what pattern I'm even using. Oh, I should have looked that up. I'll scroll it at the bottom. I apologize. I didn't even think, because I don't have the pattern printed out, so I didn't even think to look. And I haven't worked on this probably in about a week or so. I finished the hat and then I cast on something else. And I just haven't, I haven't picked this up in a while. But this is the sweater that I am knitting out of the Homespun House, Little House on the Prairie colorway. Talked about this last time. I knit Hudson a sweater in the Little House, or in a Homespun House, Little House in the Big Woods colorway. And so this is the second one in her club that she did several years ago. And I just thought it'd be really fun to knit this up for baby number 2. I do have this in a project bag by Mid Mitten Designs. I got this at YarnCon in Chicago this past April. And I got it because it reminded me of our theme, our nursery theme. And I have been using it for a lot of the baby projects that I've been knitting. So yeah, I am not 100% sure what colorway this is, or what pattern this is, like I said, but I do have a lot of the top part done. I believe I'm done with increases, and I just have to knit a little bit more on the length of it. But yeah, and it's kind of smooshed on the 16-inch needles. I'm using ChowGoo red lace, I believe, so they have a little bit of a point. My preferred needles are Addy Sock Rockets or Addy Rockets, but I do have a lot of these metal ChowGoo lace because that's what we sell at Knit Circus. I have my progress keeper on there is Paws Fiddle. This came in a later box. I think the progress keeper that came with this club box was Jack the dog, but I liked the fact that the fiddle was on there, so I grabbed that. And this pattern originally has you stripe 2 different colors, so you may have noticed, let me see what the front is. You do short rows, so there is a front and a back. Yeah, that's the back. Okay, so you may have noticed that there is some texture to this, some knits and purls. It's not super noticeable because of the speckles, but it's there. It's very subtle. So in the original pattern, you do a stripe of like the textured in a different color, and then you go back to the main color for some stockinette, and then you do a stripe of the textured. I did realize, because I looked at the pattern, I saw the, the directions, I'm like, okay, it's easy enough, like when you increase and how many rows and blah, blah, blah. Very standard, like raglan sleeve increasing. And you do this textured pattern while you're increasing. So they, kind of give you those directions. And so yeah, I just looked, it's a very simple textured pattern. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I got it. Then I realized I was taking, it's like, you knit 3 rounds in stockinette, and then you do this pattern, and the first and last row of the textured pattern is also stockinette. So I should have 5 rows of stockinette in between each like textured section. And I completely left those out. So it's texture and then 3 rows of stockinette. So it's going to be a little bit more texture than the original pattern, but because I'm not doing the striping and it's very subtle and it honestly, who cares? We're just going with it. And because you count your stitches, you do increases based on, or you do your rows based on your increases and based on measurements, I'm not worried it's not going to affect the size or anything. So yeah, but I did realize, I'm like, ooh, whoops, that'll maybe teach me to look at the pattern more often and not just assume, oh yeah, I got this after looking at it like once. So, oh well, oh well. Okay, let's see. Not finished object. These are definitely not finished. Let's see. The work in progress, number 2 that I'll show you. And just because it's another baby knit. Last one, I promise you. I mean, not last one forever, but last one of the day. This is a little baby booty or sock. I guess it's more of a booty shape than a sock shape. That I am, again, knitting with the Legacy Fiber Arts fingering weight that I got in that package. It was a 50 gram skein, so I used a bit of it in that sweater, I used a bit of it in that hat, and I still have quite a bit of it left. This was the color that I had the most of left because I got carried away with the other 2 colors and I didn't use as much of this one in the sweater, so I had more of that one left. But I do still have, like, this is the green that I used in the hat, and I have quite a bit of this as well. And then the 3rd colorway, I haven't even done anything else with, so it's just kind of hanging out. But yeah, I cast these on the other day. I'm not sure if I'll have them done by the time he's born. It's kind of weird how long this ribbed cuff took me. And I think it's just because it's such a short, like, little amount of stitches on Magic Loop, and it was just really putsy. And so I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't get through that very fast. I did knit a few like rows of the ribbing last night and then knit this entire part of the booty last night. So that went a lot quicker because it's stockinette and it's not as putsy as ribbing. But the pattern name is, this one I actually printed out. Can you believe it? Hold on. Okay, here's the title page. It's by Steffi Studios, and it is the Pontifel socks. I don't know how to pronounce that. I believe it was originally a German pattern that she has an English translation for, I believe, unless it's the other way around. But it was definitely not a USD like amount when I bought the pattern on Ravelry. So one last work in progress. I feel like I'm showing you a lot of projects today. These were also cast on in that kind of whirlwind of cast-ons I did last week. So I cast on the sweater, the baby sweater, the hat that I now finished, and these socks. The baby socks were a later cast on that I did a couple of days ago. I think I said that. But I thought it would be nice to have a toe-up sock on the needles because that is kind of my go-to mindless project. I have my heel memorized. I can easily pick this up, put it down, and I just wanted, I wanted to get it started on the needles. And this is actually probably what I'll bring to the hospital. The sweater, that'll be a good project for when I come home, I think, because it's fairly mindless. but these are just small, compact, easy. Yeah, don't have to worry. So I did cast on a pair of socks with another Legacy Fiber Arts sock set. I've got my Lock and Loo Progress Keeper on there, my chicory flower, which I love. This is my favorite, probably one of my favorite Lock and Loo Progress Keepers I have. I got it a long time ago, like 4 or 5 years ago when she first started making Progress Keepers. She's local to me, so she was at an event, like a yarn vending event, and I had seen that she had these. And chicory, the blue flowers that grow on the side of the road, those are like, I love seeing those in the summertime. They just brighten up the world, in my opinion. I know they're kind of an invasive species, but they only grow on the side of roads and paths usually, and they're just so beautiful, and I just love them. So that is that. And then I'm doing my Birds and Buds sock pattern, which is one that I have designed, and you can see the texture on that. Very, very subtle, very easy to do, easy to memorize. And then I love this. This came with the speckle. So this is in a bag by Kitchen Counter Crafter. I do not believe that she is making bags anymore, but I got this again many 4 or 5 years ago. And I usually knit with this bag in the summertime because it reminds me of cows out in the pasture. But this is the speckle colorway, and then the semi-solid that I'll use for, I'll probably use it for the heel as well, unless I'm just like not feeling like switching out yarn, and I'll just do a regular heel with the speckle. I have enough to do my heels with that, and then I'll just switch this out for the cuff and then do the same on the second sock. So yeah, it's been nice. Every so often, like the other day, Seaver went to bed a little bit before me. I had been putting Hudson down, and then I just needed a little bit of time to unwind, decompress, because it took a while to put him down. I think he's noticing that things are really changing now. Like, he's known, obviously, for a very long time that he's getting a little brother. We've, done the nursery, and we've bought things, and he's seen things change, but now there's a lot of talk about, when the baby comes home, and, mama might not be able to tuck you in every night, and that sort of a thing. And Seaver's been taking on a little bit more of, like we used to switch off for like bath time and things like that, but now Seaver's been doing pretty much all of that, like all of the things where it's hard for me to get down on the ground and to bend over and all, yeah. So Seaver's been doing all of that and taking on a little bit more of the childcare. And so I think Hudson's just kind of missing some of that time that we had together, which is very understandable. And I think every older child goes through that initially when they get a younger sibling. So he's been a little more clingy, like at night. So I stay in his bedroom a little longer, and yeah, but that just means that I need to decompress, and Seaver sometimes is really tired, and so he'll go to bed early. And he was in bed asleep, and I didn't have my knitting. I was like, thankfully, my hospital bag is out in the main room ready to go, and it had my sock in it. So I was like, okay, even though I was saving this for, like downtime when the baby comes and all that stuff, like I need to be knitting on something. So that worked out. But anyway, I feel like this is a very rambly episode, but that's okay. Bear with me. My brain is going in about 50 different directions. So, okay, the last thing I kind of want to talk about and show you is a couple yarns that I actually bought these since, yeah, I think since we talked. I grabbed these from Knit Circus and bought those. And then I wound up a couple of cakes of yarn so that I have yarn ready to go during my maternity leave. I feel like I'm going on an extended trip in a sense, and I need to have projects ready. Like, you know, when you're leaving for a while and you're like, how many projects should I bring? And you overcompensate and you end up bringing like 6, even though you're only going away for like a week. That's what I'm feeling like. Even though I will be on maternity leave for a couple of months, I will be able to access my stash. I'll be able to cake up yarn or wind yarn by hand, or even bring it. I don't have a Swift and ball winder, but bring it to work and use those. Like, I'll be visiting, you know, after a few weeks or after. Yeah, so I have no reason to fret. I even have yarn that's caked up that I have wound up long ago that I could use. But yeah, you kind of start overthinking, and what if I run out, and yeah. So anyway, I had been wanting to do another project with Knit Circus's like local natural base. And so I grabbed a couple of skeins of it. This is our Driftless DK base. It is a blend of alpaca, rambouillet, and one other wool. I can't remember, but it is non-superwash. It is a, yeah, DK weight. It's a little bit kind of thick and thin. It's got some places where it's a little bit more rustic. It's so soft though, and I've knit with this before and I absolutely love it. We recently started dyeing, we dyed a few of our speckle colorways on it, and I really love this really subtle speckle. This is called Fox in the Hen House. And we do sell these on 100 gram as well as 50 gram skeins. And then I grabbed a cake of this really, really beautiful gray. This is called Cave of the Mounds. And I believe I will knit these together in something. I have ideas for a shawl. So we'll see what I get up to with these. But I've been looking at this color combination for a while, and this yarn, and I really, yeah, I wanted to snag it before it was gone. So I got those and caked those up, and then I always do a fall or autumn themed sock every year. I really love doing like seasonal socks. I used to a lot do like a spring and a summery one, and then a fall and a winter. I mean, I always do my Christmas sock, so that's kind of my winter sock, but I've really kept up doing the fall socks and the Christmas socks. So I wanted to see if I could keep doing that. And once I finish my Legacy Fiber Art socks, which are very summery, so that's kind of going along with the theme as well. I wanted to have a couple options for my fall socks. So the first one I caked up was this beautiful skein. This is Bumblebee Acres yarn. I think this is called Spell on You. It was one of their Halloween autumn yarns a couple of years ago. I got this at, I'm going to say Shepherd's Harvest, but that's the show up in Minnesota. Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival, which happens in Jefferson, Wisconsin, about an hour from here. It's actually the town my sister lives in. It's a great show if you're in the area. Several barns, like pole barns of hand dyers and wool, and they do like herding demonstrations and a sheep show. Like they're showing their animals, almost like a fair. It's a really great show. It usually happens at the beginning of September. This year, it is the first weekend of September, I believe, which I will have a newborn, but also it happens to be Hudson's birthday. He's September 8th is his birthday, so we might not have been able to go anyway, but yeah, I definitely won't be able to go this year. But I love this colorway. And then because I am friends with the bees, with the bumblebees, they let me pick out a mini skein to go with it, which oh, wrong way. I love this yellow with it, so I caked these up. And then after, it's so funny, after I caked these up, I realized that I had originally bought this colorway to knit my sister a pair of socks because she loves hand knit socks. And also these are definitely like her colors. And so I was like, I could just make them for myself and just, she'll never know because it was a couple years ago. She won't remember. And then I'm like, I feel super, I don't know. She wouldn't care. Honestly, she wouldn't care. But then I was like, I'll have a second colorway ready just in case I do decide to just like keep those for her, knit those some other time for her. And I caked up this colorway, which is a Dragon Horde yarn colorway called Crackle. This I got when Tristan of Dragon Horde Yarn came to Wisconsin to Knit Circus, and she did an in-person trunk show with us at Knit Circus. And yeah, this was one of her like autumn themed yarns. That was November of 2019. I can't believe that was that long ago. So much has changed since November of 2019. But yeah, I've had this in my stash and I really love how like subtle it is, but then you get those really pretty pops of red and orange and yellow. So yeah, she, I think originally like the Crackle name came from like leaves and like, you know, crunchy, crackly leaves. But I also think it reminds me of like the crackle of a fire, like a bonfire, or even just like sitting in front of a fireplace and in the chilly autumn weather, and you get that crackling of the fire. I love that. So yes, this is kind of my backup, but I'll probably knit this first, and these will be for me, and then maybe cast this on if I have the chance. If not, that might have to wait till some other time. But I love that colorway and I really, really want to work with it. And then I was kind of disappointed when I remembered that I had bought it for my sister. So that's all right. I love knitting my sister's socks. She wears them all the time. She goes through them really fast because she wears them out. I've repaired a couple of pairs for her. I think that I have rambled and talked on long enough. I hope this was somewhat cohesive and pleasurable in some sense to watch. If not, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's just a bit of a chaotic time. And like I said, I just wanted to, you know, fit this in really fast before I head out. I probably won't put this up until the weekend because Seaver's birthday is tomorrow. And if the baby doesn't come, we are going to be kind of spending the day with his parents and just low-key celebrating his birthday and just waiting for this new arrival. This will be the last time I record before the baby comes. So thank you all for all of your well wishes on Instagram and here on YouTube. I really, really appreciate it. It's so heartwarming to know that so many people are thinking about you and your family and wishing you well and sending prayers and good thoughts. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So thank you so much. And next time I talk to you, we will have a new addition to the Driftless Knitting family. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week and a wonderful several weeks ahead. I don't know when I'll be back to talk to you here on YouTube, but you can always follow me on Instagram. I do post, and I will post when the baby is born, and all of the adorable pictures of him and his hand knits. So I can't wait for that. And yeah, thank you all so much. I can't wait to come back and talk to you and fill you in on everything. And I hope you keep making and doing things that make you happy. Can you tell I'm from the Midwest and it's really hard to say goodbye? This is like a virtual Midwestern goodbye where I'm just rambling on and on and on. But yes, I appreciate you all for being here. If you are a longtime viewer, thank you so much. And if you're a new viewer, thank you for checking out my podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, even the chaotic rambling. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So I'll talk to you all later, and I'll give you a little, there's the bump, going strong. So I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.